So let's turn the page, as I just did actually, and talk a little bit about AI. You've been talking about. I mentioned in my comments about the two-edged sword that's out there, the promise, and also perhaps some of the inherent risk. I'd like your perspective on what you think the value proposition is going forward in the setting of healthcare and policy.
Well, look, on the drug side, we talked about a little bit. There's about 20,000 known drug targets or druggable targets in the human body. Not all of them are truly druggable. We've drugged, I think, about 500 of them. So there's this vast universe of known biological targets that we know could be points to intervene in biological systems to have a therapeutic effect. But getting back to my point, we haven't been able to design drugs experimentally and using even the computational tools like in silico drug design and sort of intelligent drug design to figure out how to drug these targets. And we are seeing through some of the models that are being built, and they're being iterated very quickly, that these models can develop molecules and antibodies that bind to these targets effectively in ways that the experimental systems have been unable to do. And you're still going to need the experimental systems because you find you can, the AI model can develop an antibody that binds to a target, but you still have to refine that antibody and experiment it with it in vivo systems to tell whether or not it's going to have all the characteristics of a drug. But you get a starting point now that otherwise you never had before. And we're already seeing it. And we're probably, and I'm not talking about just my group at Zera Therapeutics, but just collectively, the field is probably 3-4 years into this. And you think of the first iteration of AlphaFold and David Baker's model and how many generations now we are removed from that and how much more effective these models are. And so the pace of the aptitude is growing very rapidly. On the delivery side, I think the biggest opportunity is AI models that can help assist in diagnosis and treatment decisions. And the problem there, the impediment there is going to be regulatory, because right now most of these tools, which are very adept, are being positioned as clinical decision support software, basically software to support the doctor's decision. But if they become too autonomous or they become too instrumental in the way the doctors make decisions, FDA says they're medical devices and they need to be regulated as a medical device, and you have to go through some pre-market clearance. And that process hasn't been well designed.